When it comes to Super Earth, you are the law, the final word of freedom and managed democracy on our streets. You know, it might be undemocratic to say this, but it's fairly certain that the original design for our arc thrower came from tech scavenged from the Illuminates in the First Galactic War. Now with our victory over them on Super Earth, there's a lot more of that tech lying around, and looks like the eggheads over in R&D have been putting it to good use, developing several new arc weapons for us. The negotiations will be short and shocking with the new assault rifle. The AR-31 Pacifier looks and sounds great. It has a good fire rate, plenty of ammo, and medium armor penetration. It does have some recoil, but you can fix it with these attachments: the vertical foregrip and the compensator. This worsens its ergonomics, but keeps it steady while firing. Alternatively, you can build it into a marksman rifle by swapping it to single fire and using one of the scopes, an angled foregrip, and no muzzle. This gives you max ergonomics, allowing you to snap between targets quickly. I would only recommend this build for bots, as with bugs and squids, you'd want to be keeping it full auto. Now what it doesn't have is good damage, sporting a measly 50 damage per shot, making it the worst AR in this category. Factoring in its fire rate, its DPS becomes 583. However, its main upside is its ability to stun. As long as you deal some damage to a target, it will stop moving and attacking, and thanks to its medium armor pen, you can deal at least some damage to most enemies. Hunters and stalkers will stop flailing around, devastators will stop shooting and drop their shield, overseers will hang in mid-air unmoving. You can even cancel the watcher's flares from calling in a drop and freeze them in place. Yes, it will take an entire magazine to kill a brood commander or an overseer thanks to its damage, and it will only tickle flesh mobs. But they won't be moving or shooting back during that time. It also stops decapitated bugs from running forward and doing their annoying post-death stab. For bots, you can aim for the head and pop them for an instant kill, which is much easier to do if the target isn't moving, from a few rounds pumped into their chest. You can hit scout striders in their crotch to freeze them, allowing you to move to their side to hit their pilots, or to hit their side missiles depending on the variant. You can even take down gunships, though it took me 2 magazines to do so. You can also stun a charger by hitting their exposed flesh, though like the pummeler, it takes several more shots to do so, as heavier enemies have much higher stun resistance. It has 3 fire modes: single fire, burst fire, and full auto. I swapped to single fire when stunning watchers and bots, and full auto when fighting hunters and voteless. This weapon plays to a more support role, where one diver slows down a horde while others deal the actual damage. Even if this role isn't your playstyle, it's still not a bad weapon on its own. The stun makes killing those especially annoying enemies like stalkers much easier. Overall, a great AR, certainly miles better than the Pummeler SMG and the Liberator Concussive if you like stunning enemies. Would recommend it for bug missions if you're struggling against stalkers. However, realize you can only focus on a single target while using it, and it will eat through your ammo very quickly. My recommendations with this weapon is using it for light horde clear and also singling out a single target if it's separated from the horde. Hostage situation? Not anymore with the GL52 De-escalator support weapon. This grenade launcher comes with 40 rounds with 6 chambers. Each round is individually hand-loaded like the pump shotguns, meaning it takes longer to reload after emptying it, but you get the benefit of never wasting ammo by reloading it prematurely. Each hit sends out a pulse of arc bolts in all directions, shading multiple times as long as enemies are somewhat close together. Each one of these bolts ignores armor, deals massive damage, and stuns whatever it doesn't kill. They deal 0 explosive damage, meaning you can't use this to close bug holes. When it comes to support weapons, I think this might be the best one for fighting the Illuminates. At least the best one for harvesters. They die so quickly just spamming a few shots into their heads. While the recoilless can take out a harvester from further away, it's bulky and takes up a backpack, where the De-escalator can be paired with the hover pack to stay above the hordes and slaughter them. Hordes of voteless melt, overseers and flesh mobs freeze, and harvesters topple in just a few shots. Actually killing flesh mobs is a little bit more difficult, as while they are standing still, they still have a massive health pool, and without the damage multiplier of explosive damage, it takes at least a full salvo of grenades to kill one. For that reason, a teammate bringing along explosive weapons like the autocannon can easily kill the stunned flesh mob, especially when you've cleared away all the voteless around it. The overseers also take several shots to kill, though again the better strategy is to stun them with the grenades and clear the horde around them, and then finish them off with your primary weapon. While stunned, they can't raise their shield or fire back, making killing them easy. The interloper can be brought down with just 2 grenades, though judging the weapon's drop does require some practice to get it right. It performs the least effectively against bots. It was able to stun everything it hits, but rarely did it kill the mobs of Devastators I was aiming at. While it may have struggled against flesh mobs and chargers, it was all but useless against hulks. Couple that with how wearing the hover pack is about the worst thing you can do with the automatons, and you can see why it's not really a good pick. The bots don't really have hordes that you have to clear, so it just becomes a stun weapon that barely lasts long enough to swap to another weapon to shoot. Against bugs, it performs very well, breaking up hordes of hunters and warriors, slowing the more heavily armored bugs for easy cleanup. It can kill a Titan with 5 shots directly to its face, although it can't stun it, meaning you have to be careful of its spitting. A charger takes considerably more shots. Hitting it will stop it mid-charge, and it will be stunned afterwards, allowing for an easy thermite grenade to finish it off, or just dumping the rest of the chambers into it. Again, it's less of a killing weapon for the heavies, and more of a stun and kill the swarms around that heavy enemy. Just like with the squids, the hover backpack is the best option to bring, both for gaining elevation to maximize spread, and to stay out of reach. It suffers far more with its slow reload against the bugs, as even grouped together hordes are usually bigger than what you can deal with without reloading. Armor with the Siege Ready passive can help, increasing your reload speed and giving you extra grenades, though this means that you'll have to be careful spamming it, since the lightning can very easily arc back to yourself or to your teammates. Even if you aim far away from yourself, there's been several times that it's arced back through enemies and hit me. For that reason, the best armor that you can bring with this weapon would be Electro Conduit passive. With that, you can freely fire this even at close range, as it reduces the arc damage by 95%, and if your entire squad has this armor, you can freely bomb teammates who are surrounded and getting mobbed. This armor is even better if you bring along the new K9 guard dog. Get it? K9? That's what the cops use. This drone has an arc rifle equipped that works exactly like how ours works, firing a bolt out at the closest target and arcing to close by enemies. It clears bugs and voteless as effectively as the rifle does, and its only downside is how slow it fires. I could have fired the arc rifle 5 times by the time it's shot twice. And like the De-escalator, it loves to arc to teammates. Now if you have the whole squad equipped with these, then it's completely over for the bugs and the voteless. For automatons, it feels better than the De-escalator felt because you can still be using a primary and support weapon while the drone stuns what's in front of you. Saying that, I don't really think it's going to become a staple pick for bots. Next we have the Urchin stun grenade. This sticks to a single target and stuns only that target for a considerable length of time. It deals no damage and effectively has no blast radius, so you basically just freeze a Hulk or charger in place. I don't know why you'd ever bring this when you can just bring the impact stun grenades, as those can stun a group of enemies and you don't have to be precise when throwing it, just hitting the general area where the enemy is. Or better alternative, if you want to aim your throws, just bring the thermite grenades. They one-shot hulks, tanks, and chargers. Maybe if the urchins could stun a bile titan, they would be better, but as of now, I don't think I'd ever be taking them outside of showing my friends my pet charger that I have on a leash. Moving on from new weapons, we have armor. This armor set comes with the Ballistic padding passive that grants the wearer 25% resistant chest damage, 25 explosive resistance, and stops all bleeding. These stats line up with the flavor of the Warbond, that being a police officer who's wearing ballistic plates to protect their chest. This armor is down from the 50% explosive resistance from fortified armor. But even when I was getting thrown around from bot rockets, I was surviving with just a fraction of health left, far more than if I hadn't had the armor at all. This also stacks with the resistance to all damage that hits your chest, and since everything in the game aims at center mask, you are effectively increasing your resistance to all damage by 25%, given that the enemy actually hits where they're aiming, making the heavy variant that's available in the shop among the toughest armor in the game. This also has the no bleed out from Democracy Protects armor on top of all that. This armor is amazing for automatons given how much explosive damage they deal. Up to this point, the only armor we had to resist this was fortified, and if you weren't bringing an autocannon or machine gun, then the armor's second passive perk would be useless. It's also good for Illuminate missions. If you weren't aware, the Overseer's plasma bolts and their grenades all deal explosive damage. And of course, Helldivers deal plenty of explosive damage to their own teammates, from mortars, autocannon turrets, to badly placed 380s. Sometimes I feel like I'm dying to them more than our enemies. This armor feels more like a consistent version of Democracy Protects, as you just get a ton of resistances rather than the random 50-50 live or die coin flip. Although I've been using Electro Conduit armor for most of this video, I think Ballistic padding will become one of those armors you throw on when you don't have a specific build in mind, like I do with Democracy Protects or Medic armor. Do you remember the disaster that was the Firebomb Hell Pod booster? That was the one that spread fire all over the place when a pod landed. Well, it's back, this time applying a stun effect whenever a pod lands. This one is a little bit better as you only stun your teammates instead of killing them whenever you call in a resupply. Please, never take this. If you have a squad all on voice call and you're coordinating using it, then it would be okay. It can even be good if you bring turrets and mines to toss a bunch of pods out among the hordes. But if you're just playing with randoms, they don't know, and they're going to keep stunning your own team, so just don't bring it. And finally, we have the Judge Dredd pistol available in the store. I call it that because it looks just like his, and it's in a cop-themed Warbond, not because it's good like his pistol. It costs 300 super credits, which is nearly a third of the price of an entire Warbond. It has medium armor penetration and deals 80 damage per shot, 7 magazines with 13 rounds each. Its gimmick is that it offers a lock-on option like the Spear and the Wasp launcher, with each bullet slightly curving to hit their target. I say slightly because some quick enemies like the Shriekers can actually avoid the shots. And even when they do hit, they're so insignificant to the fight. The point of the Spear or the Wasp is to hit key enemies from far away through smoke. With this pistol, I'm just peppering some trash mobs from only a little ways away, or sometimes hitting an armored enemy doing next to no damage. When I originally saw this, I thought we could fan it across a group of enemies, one-shotting all the light ones, then swapping to a weapon to fight the medium or heavy ones. Instead, what happens is I lock onto the general mass of bugs, empty my magazine, kill maybe one hunter, then get swarmed. You can turn the lock-on off to fire normally, but at that point you just have a worse version of the verdict. I'm not saying you can't get kills with this. The medium armor penetration does mean you can kill Overseers, Devastators, and Brute Commanders. Of course, it's going to take 3 magazines, and most of the time I could have just used my primary weapon to kill them much quicker. There is something to be said about using it to kill Watchers and Shriekers due to their fast movement and how difficult it is to sometimes hit them. That's about the only time that I could see this pistol being useful. Now, are those 2 edge cases worth 300 super credits? It's up to you to decide that. For me, I kind of wish I hadn't bought this. Maybe in the future, if it got a damage buff, then it could be more useful for picking off flying Overseers and other kind of trash mobs that you want to deal with quickly. Now that's all the new weapons and armor. Of course, we have the usual new skins for the mech, hell pod, and vehicles, as well as capes, helmets, 300 super credits, and other cosmetic items. Overall, I'd say the De-escalator is the main reason to get this Warbond, followed closely by the drone and the rifle. When it comes to horde clear, I think this Warbond might be even stronger than Democratic Detonation, especially if you've gotten the Electro Conduit armor already, as you can spam lightning damage without having to worry about friendly fire. If I had to rank this Warbond, I'd say Democracy Protects is better overall pick thanks to the Eruptor, the crossbow, and the grenade pistol. However, I do think this might be the 3rd or 4th best Warbond currently available in Helldivers, on par with Servants of Freedom with its double-edged sickle, or Urban Legends with its anti-tank emplacement. I can see the new grenade launcher becoming a staple for squids and bug missions, and a new player-created faction focusing around dealing lightning damage. And the armor is a good alternative to Fortified, not just for bot missions, but all missions, thanks to its high resistances. That's about it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and leave a like, leave a comment if you think I got something wrong, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.